South African-born Nolan Pillay is the brilliant and dynamic founder of the trademarked self-development program, Be the Best Version of Yourself, running under the company Straight Talk with Nolan. He's an intuitive knowledge of the diverse range of pulses that make up the heartbeat of the African continent. And most importantly, he's been there. Much like many South Africans today, Nolan's childhood was a humble one. He's seen poverty and hunger, homework by candlelight, worked multiple jobs to put food on the table and to get reading sleepless nights, worrying about keeping the roof over his family's heads. Most importantly, Nolan is the man who never gave up on his dreams and who's ready to share his personal success story with the world, if only to help empower others to achieve the same through his program. He loves adventure, the outdoors, connecting with others, and learning how to be a better human. Nolan is a philanthropist and focuses his attention on elevating humanity. Together with his foundation, Be the Best Version of Yourself, they work on various projects. This year, they will be bringing deaf and hearing climbers together to the mountains in Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro and hearing communities. Nolan and Caitlin, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Awesome. So from one summit, the Conscious Connection Summit, to another, Mount Kilimanjaro, you're climbing with a team of hearing and deaf climbers to raise funds and awareness and give the gift of hearing to a deaf child. What do you think touches you so much about the challenges they face?
My relationship started way back in 2019 when I relaunched my company Straight Talk with Nolan, and a friend of mine arranged to have 3 deaf people speak at the launch of my company. One of them is Janice Jonker. She's the CEO of an organization we have, which is called Miss, Mr. and Mrs. Deaf South Africa. So if you think of a Miss South Africa pageant and a Miss Deaf South Africa pageant, exactly humans, but one gets more attention than the other one. So that was one of the first things that touched me, like, why can we not treat all humans in the same way? The second part is there was a Mrs. Deaf South Africa called Ketiwe Madi. She's late now, may she rest in peace. She passed on with COVID. So she spoke to me and my audience, and she sent us a very strong message. And I'll ask the audience and yourself, Kirsty, as well. Imagine if all of you here could not hear, and I'm the only one that can hear. Who's the one with the disability? And that was like a light bulb moment to me. It sent off sparks, and then I started realizing how difficult it is, and I speak for South Africa, to be a deaf person in South Africa, because there's not many organizations that want to work and help the deaf people. So when they spoke at my launch, it really touched me, and I made a promise to myself there and then that I'm going to do as much as possible to make sure that we have a deaf community out there, and let's get together and help each other. Because I can tell you, just by in the last 2-3 years working with the deaf community, they are one of the best communities ever. If you're looking for somebody with a go-getter attitude, somebody who's always wanting to make a difference, not to their lives only, to other people's lives, this is the community. And imagine if we can get this rolled out to hearing people, to let them understand all these challenges the deaf people face and start working together. So that was the first one for me. It was way back in 2019. It really a big way. Yeah.
Awesome. And so why the climb? Why Mount Kilimanjaro? And when's it happening?
So Mount Kilimanjaro was supposed to have happened in 2020, but because of COVID, we had to move it out to 2021. COVID struck again. We had to move it out to 2022. So the reason why the foundation has chosen to climb Mount Kilimanjaro is we've got a group of directors together, and our intention going forward is every single year we'll pick a cause and we'll work hard towards that by doing something extreme. So this year we have chosen the deaf community to work towards. Next year it could be cancer. Following year it could be autism. It could be anything that we choose and find the need. Now, if you look at Mount Kilimanjaro, I've been there before in 2019. It's not a mountain for anyone. And the reason why I'm saying that is it's not an easy mountain to climb. So all the climbers that are with us that will be climbing in August this year are actually putting their lives at risk by climbing the mountain. So therefore, we're preparing themselves from a mindset point of view now to get them ready for the climb. So the reason why we chose Kilimanjaro is we want to take 7 deaf climbers with us, and you'll get to speak to one of our deaf climbers a little later, who's Raymond Yonker. He's on the call, and 8 hearing climbers. So one of the other hearing climbers you're going to hear from is Nomolanga Sitole. She's also on the call. When we climb this mountain together, our intention is to bridge this gap. Imagine now if I start learning how to sign with it, and when we come back after our climb and even pre the climb, we will still have workshops where we start educating the hearing people and teaching them how to sign and teaching them the importance of signing. In South Africa, it should have been an official language by now, but the point where we make sign language an official language.
Is it something that varies across languages, or is it pretty international, sign language?
No, not really. It's each country, I've realized, has its own sign language, the way you speak it. I stand corrected, but that's in my observation. Maybe Caitlin can, being a sign language interpreter, can enlighten us. But from what I've observed, apparently the language is different across countries, the way you sign.
I can imagine that adds to the challenges. And I have to admit, I feel guilty because as an avid language learner and teacher, it's always been my practice. I've always recommended to people, wherever you go in the world, the most important sentence you need to learn is, "I'm really sorry, I don't speak your language. Can you help me?" And my apologies, because I didn't do that in this case today. Hopefully Caitlin can maybe teach me. So yeah, back to the preparations for the climb. What's the training like? What's involved?
Well, as part of the team, we have 5 compulsory sessions. And in fact, tomorrow is one of the sessions. So we start up quite early. So it's all about going out and putting as much mileage as possible on your legs. So tomorrow we'll, as a team, our team is actually split. We have a group of climbers in Cape Town, which is another city in South Africa. And we have majority of the climbers in Johannesburg, which is my city. So we all will group up together and we'll do a 17-kilometer hike tomorrow together. And then on Sunday, we're up early again. And this is when we do something called stair climbing. Now, the reason why we do stair climbing is because when you climb up, and it's 241 steps, by the way. So you're climbing like this. When you get to the top, you get a bit of your breath back. You either do a loop and come down. Now, the reason why we want to do this is we want you to go up, get your heart rate up, and then gradually bring it down. So the quicker your heart rate comes on, it's going to tell us that you are ready and you're getting fit for the climb as well. So it's all about mileage, and that's just the one part of it. I mean, 5 compulsory trainings as a team is a must, but aside from that, the team is required to train on their own. So me personally, I do a 5-kilometer walk every day in the morning. I haven't been out this week. It's been a bad week for me, but we advise do as much mileage as possible. The key to training is altitude, because Kilimanjaro is 5,895 meters above sea level, right? So if you put it in 6-kilometer terms, it's like such a long way. I mean, I always say to people, and I brag to people, it's the first time I've ever been on the ground, but above the clouds. The other time I've been above the clouds is when I'm in an airplane. But here I'm climbing and I'm standing on a mountain and I can see all the clouds below me. So yeah, and also with our training as well, we advise our climbers to use a backpack with about 10 kg of something in it. It could be snacks, it could be water. They need to drink a lot of water, because with climbing Kilimanjaro, you need to drink at least about 6 to 8 liters of water on that trek as well. It's quite important because what water does is it just increases your oxygen levels and it keeps you hydrated as well. So yeah, that's it about training. It's really key that we do it as a team so that we get used to each other now, so that when we are on summit week, we know each other already. We know each other's habits, because it's only at that time that we have each other's backs. And really we do. I've been on the mountain before and I know what it's all about. We have to protect each other. We will have guides. They call Sherpas. But it's also important for us to know each other as a team. With the Yering climbers that are on the call as well, our intention is to do a basic sign language course so that we know basic sign language as well. We are taking an interpreter with us from the MDSA who will help us. And we've just finalized having a Sherpa who's also a deaf person on our group as well. So that really would help and ease the communication with all of us.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just thinking, what are the kind of the particular challenges of doing it with this mixture of hearing and deaf climbers? Oh yeah,
that's such a good question. So, and I'll just give you a scenario, touch wood, it doesn't get to that, right? But let's say at night you're sleeping in these wooden cabins, and let's just say a deaf person goes out and you don't hear from him or her back. Now, if you're in the same cabin as that's your partner, right? That's somebody who's part of your group that you're staying with. If you don't hear from them within about 5-10 minutes, you as a hearing person need to go out and start checking for them. So when you go checking out for them, you can't scream their name or anything because they can't hear you. So you need to be able to trace your path to go and find your climber and come back. Or even alternately, if the person is in your cabin, go with the person out. If they need to use the bathroom or so, go with them and just be on standby. Because you don't want to lose a climber on a mountain.
And it does get cold there at night, right?
It does get cold. It does get very cold. You end up using you use about 3 different pants, including your thermal, about 3 different tops with your winter jacket as well. But even when you're sleeping, the cabins are like this. It's all wooden, right? Think about like railway wood. It's like that. You got your sleeping bag that you sleep in. And of course, you carry like an extra blanket to keep you warm. It does get cold. So you just have to cover your ears and everything and just keep yourself warm. You are allowed to keep hot water bottles because the Sherpas, they warm water all the time. So we will carry that with us, especially with your mobiles as well. The mobiles can freeze on us. So we always carry hot water so that we keep it warm or keep it insulated somewhere on us so that it doesn't freeze up as well.
I did I walked the Inca Trail in Peru a few years back, and I remember I think I had 17 layers and my sleeping bag, and the tip of my nose was cold and it kept me awake half the night. Just that one bit of me that was cold that I couldn't cover up without feeling suffocated. Yeah, it's so many things to think about, and yes, like you say, you couldn't just put your head out of the cabin and shout. You have to be prepared. I guess that's part of the training as well, that you're working together and building the team before you
exactly.
come into that.
Exactly. So even on the last night before you summit, your fingers actually get frozen. So you have to use specific gloves as well. And you always advise as you're walking to do this with your fingers to keep it kind of alive in a way. Even your toes are like frozen. So you gotta kind of do this in your shoe because your shoe is much more bigger. So you have the space and the room to actually do those things as well.
Yeah, circulation, keep it moving, absolutely. So what about the costs and the other preparations? I mean, we've been talking about the physical and the practicalities, but this is not going to be a cheap thing to do. Plus, you're doing it to raise funds. So tell me a bit about that.
So the cost per climber just to get out there and climb it works out to just under 100,000 South African rands. So I don't know what that would be in dollars, but I'm assuming it's like $8,000 per climber. But this includes your flights, your gear, your accommodation. It includes everything. So in this one package, the way I've structured it is, I would like that the climbers do not have to focus on going and buying gear, etc. It's just the one sum that's paid in, and they get everything to themselves. Now, just to go a little further, we know that it's a huge cost for each bill, not to get the climbers to worry about the financial aspect of it. I want them getting their minds right, visualizing themselves on top of the mountain. And if we get some key corporate sponsors that come in and say, wow, guys, we'd like to help you out, they see the vision, that's a major plus for us. And also included in that $8,000, Kirsty, is we've made provision for cochlear implants and hearing aids as well. That comes out from each climber. So, you know, the climb is all about giving the gift of hearing to a child. And our target is one child. Imagine if you can give the gift of hearing to 10. Exactly. If you watch the videos, I've been watching these videos, and I do it purposely because I want these videos to get me into not purposely just crying all the time, but I want these videos of these children using the cochlear implants for the first time and smiling at their parents. I want that to drive me. I want that to motivate me even more. Even the climbers are doing the same as well, right? They're getting motivated by this because they see the bigger picture of this. It's such a valuable gift. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate. Some children are born deaf, and there's not much anyone can do. But if we can help them with a hearing aid or a cochlear implant, why not? The cost of these hearing aids and cochlear implants, I had it noted down here, it's like ridiculous. Just for hearing aids, it can go up to 120,000 South African rands. And the cochlear implant can go up to 400,000. That's like 500,000 rands. That's a lot. Now, how many parents do have medical aid that can cover them? Not many of them have it, right? And even if they do have medical aid, the medical aids have this habit of not covering the whole amount. So there's always a shortfall, and the parents need to do some fundraising or something so that they can come up with the funds as well. So, you know, so going back to the child, giving the gift of hearing to a child is just priceless in my opinion. It's something so heartwarming that we want to do, and the more children we touch, that's our goal.
Yeah, I saw you shared a link in the group the other day with a baby hearing for the first time, and it's you can't but get kind of welled up with it, can you?
Yeah.
We've had in the UK this year, we've got a very popular show, Strictly Come Dancing. I don't know how much that's widespread in the world, but this year, Rose Ayling-Ellis, who's a deaf actor, actually kind of raised awareness to the challenges faced by the deaf community by winning that competition. And yeah, we don't realize the challenges that other communities face until we connect, until we talk to them to find out. So I wonder if you could give us some idea of the sorts of everyday challenges that the deaf community face that hearing people might not realize, a little bit like that, not being able to just shout.
No, so you know, one of the examples is we had a cycle challenge, and what the cycle challenge meant was us hearing climbers or hearing people to put in earplugs and cycle for 50 kilometers. And I had these earplugs on for that entire duration. Kirsty, I can guarantee you, every time other bikers came past me, I didn't hear anything, but when they went past me, it was like I was scared. I was so nervous, like they're going to push me off the road, because all you feel is this wind that just goes just like that past you. Now, obviously, those people that are cycling at such a pace, they're doing it as a sport, and they're not really focused on whether you're a deaf cyclist or not, right? They don't know you, and there's no kind of courtesy to you at all, and they just come past. Now, I, as a hearing person, got to feel that on my own, and I realized how dangerous this is. Imagine what the deaf cyclists face on a daily basis. It becomes just so much more harder. The other incident I had was I was at a school, a local school here, And I was talking to the principal, and the principal said to me, you know, Nolan, the parents of these kids do not want to learn how to sign. Now, if the parents do not want to learn how to sign, how will that child be in the community? He's going to be shunned, right? He or she will be shunned, and they'll be mocked, etc. And this is a community. The other major example that I mentioned in the beginning is about the difference between Miss South Africa, the hearing pageant, and the deaf pageant. This Miss South Africa pageant gets, I'm using this as an example, right? But there's many pageants in the same way. It gets so much hype and attention from the news, the media, etc. But now those are things we need to change. And the way you're going to change this is by allowing the organizers of this pageant to realize that, hey, no matter what, these are still humans. It's just a disability. Treat everyone the same. And that's what I'm trying to promote so much, is to make them realize a disability is just a disability. Do not hold that against a person. So it's just that. I, for one, also had the scenario where I sat at a table, a dinner table, and the majority of the people at the table were deaf, right? And it was just me and my wife that were hearing. And if I tell you, I felt so out of place. And the reason I felt out of place is because I did not know how to sign. So if I did not know how to sign, it means that I need to go and fix myself in that way and learn how to sign so that I can become part of this conversation. So it's that. What in the schools, most of the deaf children, they're sometimes in the school with the hearing child as well, and they also have to face these challenges. And I can tell you now, it's like bullying tactics, right? They get mocked. As a child, you're being mocked, and that trauma stays with you for a very long time until you do some healing as well on yourself. So that's the whole idea about bringing everybody together and making them realize we have a community. Yes, there is a disability, but don't treat the person any other way besides treating everyone as humans.
Yeah, and I guess we can actually reduce the disability, because they're doubly disabled if they've got the disability of not being able to hear, on top of the disability of the gap in understanding between the hearing and the deaf communities. Then definitely by making those connections, that can make a difference, and it can make a difference on both sides.
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. It's for us to be learning, for the hearing community to be learning as much as the deaf community.
Correct. Yeah.
How can we communicate with our deaf communities besides sign language?
So there are apps as well where you can type a message, or you could go the conventional way of writing it down. But it's quite difficult. When you speak, they lip read you, right? So they rely on you speaking to them rather than writing down to them what you want to say. So that's the one option. But sign language is the key one for me. There's not many other choices. What we do now in our meetings, our team meetings, we use Google Meet, because Google Meet is so easy to have the subtitles at the bottom for us. So that makes it much more easier, because then our deaf climbers can read at the bottom as well.
Yeah, that's great. How can we get more involved with our local deaf communities, Nolan?
So I think as a start, especially with what we're trying to do now by bridging this gap, if anyone can get involved from a corporate sponsorship point of view, or even as an individual sponsorship point of view, we really appreciate it, because we are looking for sponsors. And, like I mentioned, I'm trying to move that stress away, the financial stress away from the climbers, so that they can focus on climbing that mountain. So we have a Go Get Funding link set up already, and we're just trying to reach out to as many corporate sponsors as possible. If anyone has some good contacts that work within the CSI, which is the Corporate Social Initiative or Corporate Social Responsibility, it does not have to matter whichever country. A lot of countries outside of South Africa would love to get involved in something like this and be part of it as well. Together with the team, we are following up on sponsorships locally, but I can honestly tell you it's slow. So we've got 30,000 South African rands so far out of 1.5 million that's required. So we do have a long way to go.
Absolutely. There is without looking for all the companies and the corporations. If you can get involved with learning sign language and finding deaf people to be friends, again, coming back to my language learning experience, again, the best way to learn a language is to go and immerse yourself in that culture. And so if you are interested, then yeah, go and find somebody to talk to and figure out with them how you can better understand each other.
And even if you search online, there's so many online courses. You can actually learn sign language online. You don't have to go to a class. There's, I mean, similar to like what we learn with our online studies, there's a lot of learning material on, you can just learn. And you don't have to learn everything. Start off with the basics and then just grow from there as well. So when you start with the basics, I can tell you this, it's so appreciative with our deaf community that you are making an attempt.
That's my attempt so far. Okay, 2 more questions. I can't wait to hear from some of the climbers in your team and see if anybody's got some juicy questions for us. What's your next challenge, Nolan? What's the next project for your foundation?
So the whole reason for the foundation is to serve humanity, right? And help our communities and start uplifting communities. So what we plan to do with the whole foundation is every single year, like I said, we'll pick a different cause and we'll work towards it. So for 2023, we didn't decide as yet. There's so many causes out there. Autism is coming up very big, and also mental health, because mental health has become such a major problem in the world, not only in South Africa. So if we can start doing something towards that, that would also help. So we would know by at least September of this year what our next cause would be, but it will be something, and we'll do something similar, right? Either go and climb the mountain or do a mad cycle race through a park with security guards so that the lions don't eat you or anything like that. The reason why I say that is that we're raising funds to stop rhino poaching. But in this park, we had to be escorted by security guards because the animals do run freely, and we're on our bicycles and we're climbing and climbing. So yeah, but I think it'll be a mountain again next year. Definitely a mountain, because we're going to get a lot of experience from this. The climbers are really excited. We have, in fact, I think all the climbers except myself are first-time climbers. That's part of our team this year. So we'll let you know soon.
Nolan likes the mountain.
You know, it's funny you say that. You know what? There's so much of beauty out there. There's so much beauty. It's just unbelievable. You know, just being out in the open, there were times when I climbed carbon, you know, even the oxygen from the trees, it's just, everything is so fresh. The city I live in Johannesburg, we have a lot of pollution because it's a city and there's a lot of vehicles using the freeways and the normal roads, etc. So when you go out, you're not breathing proper air. But when you're out there in Kilimanjaro, it's just so beautiful. It's another world. Let's put it that way. To me, it's like another world.
Awesome. Okay, I might have another question, but I'm quite interested, as I say, to open up to the audience for questions and get some of your team on as well. Are we good to go for some Q&A? Do we need to spotlight the person asking the question as well?
I'm not sure. Maybe if they unmute.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, let's go for it. Lee, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, Nolan, wow, it's amazing what you are doing. It's so amazing. It's such an honor to know you. I just had a practical question with regard to the fundraising. Maybe I missed something in between because I had to leave a few times. But because I heard you saying it's such a challenge, and I know to find enough funds for what you are doing. I was wondering if you ever thought about collaborating, about contacting huge companies who could benefit from the fact that from the collaboration. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever done this?
Oh, yeah. No, we have. We've approached some major like banking institutions, manufacturing companies in South Africa already to collaborate with us, because there's always it's a win-win for the company as well, right? Because what would happen is if they come in as a major sponsor, then we take their logos and we brand them on our gear.
Yeah.
And when we do get up the mountain, if they say, okay, fine, when you get up the mountain, raise our company flag or so, we're happy to do that for them as well.
Yeah. And did you, yeah, sorry, but I have some marketing. I have a specific marketing background with regard to target groups. And what came to my mind was, maybe we can have a chat about it if you want one time, but it might be that it could help to have another look at it from a point of target groups for the fundraising. And then there was something else that I thought when I heard you talking about this, is that some years ago, but I don't remember how long and who it was exactly, but some years ago, I was attending an event from people specialized in fundraising. It was a famous fundraising company of the UK, even, I believe. Could it be the Red Nose thing? Who were
Might be Comic
really
Relief.
brilliant,
Yeah.
who had a brilliant strategy. And they explained at that time how things worked. And I was wondering if you have ever been in contact with people like that who explain how you can really get the most out of it. And also, I don't know if you have ever heard about the book or the system, the Blue Ocean Strategy.
No.
Okay, I will show you how it looks, and I can strongly recommend you to take that book. It exists in I think over 40 languages. It's huge. Hang on.
The beauty of these connections is that we're bringing people together.
Okay.
If you just
help
look
each other out.
online, this is in my language, but it exists in many languages. Just look online for the Blue Ocean strategy. The Blue Ocean.
Okay.
It's a strategy. It's a creative strategy for companies, and the difference is just that, let's say that the world of competition, and where you have to really fight to earn your money and to find your funds, that are all red oceans, bloody oceans. That's why they call them red oceans. But then you have the blue oceans, where you can create your business or what you are doing in such a way that you earn a huge amount of money. You become hugely successful, and you don't. Sometimes you just disrupt a piece of the market, but it's not about disrupting. It's just you do it in such a way that it doesn't matter what all the rest is doing.
Yeah.
And it brings you the most profit. Yeah.
No, you're right, but so I have contacted a company in Norway, and I'm just waiting to get onto their database. Now, what they do is they vet the corporates and people that want to sponsor non-profit organizations like the foundation. And what they do is they have money available, right? All of them want to just save on their tax requirements, etc., and they want to help organizations like ours. So as soon as we go onto the database, then it makes it more easier because now we can communicate. They've never done it for anyone in South Africa as yet. I have not even mentioned this to the team as well, but I am in talks with them where we can get the foundation onto this platform. And once we get them onto this, in fact, Christopher Lemke, I think he was on the call as well. It was a referral from him. He got me in contact with the guy. So we're looking forward to when that comes in. But yeah, we are trying to contact as many people as possible. And like I said, I want to get to the point where it's not only the one child, it's all the children that really need the support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I'm going to jump in here because I'm aware that there are climbers from your team who haven't raised their hands, and we really want to hear them. So thank you for your question, Leave, and definitely you need to hook up with Nolan at another point. Raymond.
So yes, Namalanga, her hand is raised, and Raymond at the bottom. Here we go.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I must say, I said this to Nolan and the team, I'm extremely terrified. I was meant to climb with Nolan in 2019, but I think everything has its time. And so I love earrings. I've got a whole lot of earrings, and if ever I wanted a confirmation, it happened in this format. So the earrings are in one of our local pharmacies, and they are made in the US. And a piece of whatever you buy, their purchase also helps with the hearing loss in Southern Africa. So I remember taking this and just keeping it aside, and just for some reason, I just wanted to keep the packaging. And so when Nolan called me, I was like, okay, so there's a reason why, I kind of saw this. If ever I needed a confirmation, that was it. The reason I'm climbing is at the age of 17, I was hit by a little boy at our year end as school leavers, and I was hit across my face. And for the longest time, my ear burnt as anything. I'd put whatever it is to try and get it sorted. So that was my first, in South Africa, we call it gender-based violence attack. And so I think when Nolan called me, it struck a nerve, because I thought, oh my goodness, I could have lost my hearing just from that. And so now and again, the ear does funny things, but I'm so grateful for the gift of hearing. And every morning I wake up and I am grateful both ears work and all my senses work. And so what better way to actually support the climb? And so that's the reason I'm literally doing it. And for the mere fact that a child is going to receive the gift of hearing. And I'm very passionate. I'm a speaker. I'm in the events industry. And children for me are at the center of my heart. I love teenagers. I chat to teenagers about confidence, about telling their story, about authenticity. And so to be able to add on to my story what we're doing for children in South Africa is a dream come true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nomalanga. Raymond. Hey.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I hope my name is Raymond Yonka. And this is my sign name, Raymond. I was born in South Africa, and I was born deaf. I was also a sickly baby, and I became deaf. So I currently work for a company called G4S, and that is a company that I do more actives such as analysis as well, and database, putting database in aspects of an IT level. So I decided to climb this year is to make my dream and also to bridge the communication gap between the hearing and the deaf. I believe that this climb are capable of doing anything. They are normal. The only disability they have is that they cannot hear. They can't hear what is happening. But however, they can climb, they can work, and they can do a lot of other things. So going from my side, what I would like to do and get out of this is to be a successful climber. And also the fundraising to sponsor that cochlear implant, to give a child the ability to just hear the basic sounds around them. I have a cochlear implant. This helps me a lot because, to be honest, I was cycling and I did that cycle as well. And I could hear the cycles going past. So it avoided me from getting startled. So let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. That's a cochlear implant. So it avoided me getting startled and getting off track. It was 15,000. It is very expensive. We had to fundraise. It was not easy. It was a challenge to get it. Medical aid cards, my medical aid also they could not cover it in full. They could only cover half of the cost. And the rest came from my pocket as well. So with the hearing aid, it improved my life in such a way that I have the ability of hearing basic sounds. Sorry. So for example, my son, years old, he became hard of hearing and it started worsening. We decided to get a cochlear implant and he started to learn. I was quite scared because I was thinking, you're a child, you're probably going to take it off, you're going to do this. So we had to constantly watch him, watch what he eats, watch what he's doing, and also try and be around him a lot. He loves his cochlear implant. If he doesn't have it on, he gets frustrated. He loves the fact that he can hear, he can do stuff. So my child is currently going to university. He now has the ability to study further. He now has the ability to go to university, hear what is being spoken by the lecturer through a cochlear implant. So he has the ability of living a normal life. So this also gives you the independence of living your life. It's not just a cochlear implant. It gives you something. It adds value to your life. It brings joy to people who can't hear. It actually makes a very big difference. So thank you for hearing my story.
Thank you. Oh, Nolan or for Raymond or Nomalanga, please raise your hand. We might have time for one or two more, or if you just would like to share or comment anything, maybe an aha moment from today's session. Joy.
I would just like to say thank you.
Hang on, can't see you. Where are you?
I would just like to say thank you to all of you. What you're doing is beautiful, and I'm super touched. Thank you. And congratulations, Raymond, for your son. And Nomalanga, I just got chills when you started talking about the earrings and just, no, what a glorious thing you're doing. Thank you. And Caitlin, what beauty you brought us.
I don't know, with the deaf that I know, the biggest problem that I see is mostly finding fair employment here in New York. They get abused so often. They don't have the connection with the employers are afraid to hire them because they won't be able to communicate. Doesn't carry through. It'll get them started, maybe get them a few days of work, few weeks of work, and then the employer's like, no, I can't deal with this.
That's a good point, Arthur, as well, because it shows that even employees are not enforcing tolerance in some way or helping to make the life of the deaf person better, right? A lot of times, I know in South Africa we have there's a coffee shop that where they take in just the deaf people and they employ. So we need.
Yeah, there are some companies around here where I will run into deaf people, or I know where they're working, but it's a constant problem because the gap is so huge.
Yeah.
I know some who are oral, were raised oral, and they do well in the community because they can read lips, even though they hear nothing. I was and I'm often surprised that they actually hear nothing. Very difficult skill to learn at that level. And it takes time, it takes education. And on this, or
Raymond, would you like to respond? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Kirsty, can I just say something just based on what Arthur has said? In our church, we have a section for the deaf ministry, and it's phenomenal just to see how confident they are with, being the small set of people, and the auditorium holds about 7,000 people. And so I'm always amazed at just how they are so fluent. And sometimes I do TV news, and there's a gentleman I would present with. Himself and his wife are both deaf, but the daughters, I think, are very capable. And so it's quite interesting to think of the dynamics that happen in that family, where both parents are deaf, but the children, are well, and they can hear and they can speak. So I think that's another reason as well when this came about with Nolan. It's just phenomenal to be able to do something. It may be not anything huge, but just to start somewhere in our community. Thank you.
Bridging that gap. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Nomalanga. There were two raised hands earlier. There was Julia and Anna both had their hands up. Would either of you like to jump in now?
Anna, would you like to come in?
I would love to. I'm
This is one of the things when you're communicating with the deaf community, not having your webcam on is not a great thing, is it?
Yeah. I think it could be internet issues with Anna.
Yeah, I think she's got internet issues.
Yeah, she often
We
has
can't hear you,
problems.
darling. How about Julia?
Okay. Oh, I think I replaced the spotlight and now it's just me. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I'm back. So I'll try to be very quick because there is not a lot of time, but I just thank you, Nolan, for bringing this this amazing topic and conversation here. I was first surprised, nicely surprised that there's a Miss Dev in South Africa, and that was so interesting. Also, that she said that sign language should be a second language already in South Africa. And that's what I was surprised, but also confused, because I don't think, I mean, how many deaf people are they out there? Because I don't hear a lot about deaf topics and people talking around, and it's very difficult to find ourselves in some situations, like at least over here. So that was my question.
That's a good observation, right? So I think I want to just answer your last question quickly. The reason, and if I look at myself 3 years ago, I was not running into a lot of deaf people either. And the reason being is I wasn't like focused on the deaf people, right? It's so often that when you don't associate with a community, you think that they're all fine and there's no problems, etc. And you get withdrawn from that. It's like withdrawing from a society. It was only when I started working with the deaf community, then I realized, wow, we have a huge number of deaf people out there. You know, it's a simple thing like, you know, when you're looking for a like-minded community, when you start working with them, you'll see more and more and more, right? And when you don't, it's exactly that. So if you rewind 3 years ago, I also was not so close to the deaf community until they spoke at my launch, and we connected on such a high level that I just stayed connected with our community.
Thank you so much. And that's exactly one of the reasons I'm so happy we bring you to the summit, because I was a sign language translator in my country. It was one of the first things that I did in my high school. So I did for quite a few years, and it was the love of, like, the language of my heart. Kirsty loves a lot languages. Me too, and I learned a lot of them, but sign language has always been the language of my heart. It's very close to me, and I have a lot of friends, and it is just an amazing thing. It's the whole another universe to be and to learn the world from another view. I'm personally, I wish for everybody to have a little bit of experience with that. So, Kirsty, I think my internet is a little slow.
Can I just check? We'll get Nolan in the group to answer any questions. And if there are any other,
we will appreciate that. Yeah, as many sponsors as possible, we will be forever grateful. And just remember, you will be touching a child via us.
Awesome. Thank you, Nolan. Thank you, Caitlin. And thanks,
Thank you,
Raymond
Nolan.
and Nomalanga too.